Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. So I'm going to try and be efficient with time. 8 minutes were all assigned, so I put my timer in. And one of the things I love about traveling outside of Palestine is I can actually use 3G on my mobile phone when I get to travel, which is great. That freedom that we all search for. Thank you for all coming here today. I'm chairman and GM of Bank of Palestine. It's Palestine's first and largest bank. I started my career, I was born in Gaza. I started, but I studied abroad and ended up working for Citibank as a start in my career in the early 90s, and worked with Citibank for about 12 years in UK, Europe, and decided to go back to Palestine in 2007. Bank of Palestine was established in 1960, started in Gaza as a small, mainly agricultural bank, financing small projects for farmers and so on. But in 1967, the occupation army, the Israeli army, came into Gaza. They went to see the late chairman, who was my grandfather at the time. They went to see him at the bank and basically gave him an ultimatum. They said, you can keep the bank running, but on one condition. We want you to change the name of the bank. We want you to strike out the word Palestine from Bank of Palestine. And he refused. They gave him a few options like the agricultural bank or the Gaza bank or the Shawa bank, or they gave him a whole list of options to choose from, but insisted that the word Palestine gets deleted. And anyway, he refused, and they came the following week, and they shut down the bank by military force, and the bank was effectively shut down for about 12 years. My grandfather didn't stop there. He decided to go to the courts and got a good lawyer, and spent a lot of money on lawyers and a lot of time. About 12, 13 years later, took this court case all the way to the Supreme Court in Israel to basically fight for the bank's survival and get it reopened, and proud to say that the moral of the story, justice does prevail. The courts, even in Israel, do prevail, and justice prevails. And the judge ordered that the bank be reopened and issued a license under the original name, Bank of Palestine. And we were operating again since the early 80s, and today we employ maybe 1,500 people. We have 60 branches. We serve over 700,000 customers in Gaza and West Bank. And so the challenge that we face as businesses, Bank of Palestine's story, just the survival and the fight for its name is just an example of many, many stories that you hear. And we are a bank, so we serve a lot of customers, and a lot of our customers, we focus on small businesses and micro businesses. And believe me, they all have a Bank of Palestine story. They all share the same challenges of just survival, living under this occupation regime. I'll tell you a couple of stories. One is a story of one of our customers in Gaza. They're a family business, a biscuit factory plant, a biscuit factory. They produce wafers and chocolate biscuits. And they employed over 120 people. That's 120 families that relied on that work. And they, in the last 3 wars, in the last 6 years, their biscuit factory got hit each time. And each time our customer would come to the bank after the war in 2008 to get some financing to basically repair the damage and restart his operation. And again in the war of 2012, the same thing, again to restart the operation. And in the last war, it was a very big direct hit on the factory. About $5 million worth of production plants and stock and all the raw materials, everything went up in flame and dust. But they won't give up. They're gonna once again for the fourth time come to the bank. We're like restructuring their loan and giving them a 25-year loan, which we've never done before. But we're trying to be as accommodating as possible. And yes, we had to provision for bad debts, and yes, we had to accommodate all this, all these difficulties that our customers endure. The other story is my colleague Zahi spoke about Area C. Area C, like he said, represents about 61% of the West Bank that is completely off limits. This is what we want to call our country, Palestine, within the 67 borders, which is basically 21% of historic Palestine. So we can't use 61% of that land, which drives up land prices in the towns and cities of which is in your pamphlet. It's here, one of the pages, which basically drives up the cost of land, the price of land in the areas where the Bandustans, which many people are now referring to, basically these little islands which Palestinians are allowed to live in and develop and basically are restricted to. So the only way for us to reduce the cost of living and reduce the cost of housing and make housing more affordable, and also to locate factories and production and industry. You can't have industry located and agricultural land located in the middle of a city where we're supposed to live. So we're all caged up in very tight, packed population centers. But if you want agricultural land or if you want industrial land, you have to go out. And this land outside is completely off limits. We're not allowed to use it. And so the story I have here is of a customer who took a small loan from the bank to open a scrap metal recycling plant, and just literally on the edge of the city of Nablus. And he took a risk, he took a chance, with buying this land and building the plant there. That there is a chance that the Israeli army will come in and demolish it. And unfortunately, a year and a half later, that's exactly what happened. They came into that area and they completely demolished the factory. Again, dozens of people unemployed, and a loss to not only him, but our production capacity. And so the stories like this go on and on. We also, the Palestinians also want their own startup nation. We also believe in our young entrepreneurs. We have over 97% literacy rate. Everyone goes to, my God, I'm done already. Everyone goes to university and school, and so our kids and our youth also want their geniuses. There's some very creative experts in the field of technology and high tech. So, and we believe in that as the Palestinian Business Committee. And so we actually raised a $10 million fund not so long ago, purely funded by Palestinian private sector, to invest in early stage startups, venture capital in the high tech. But the problem is, you have again these, a lot of people think that technology and high technology is a way of getting around the Israeli restrictions, because it's programmers and on computers, and they develop software, and you don't need to import or export anything. and so you don't need, the issue of checkpoints and all of that is not an issue. But you know what? When you don't have electricity in Gaza, okay, you have about 6 to 8 hours of electricity a day in Gaza. How can you actually boot up your computer to program? Okay, when you don't have 3G, the basic, internet to be able to, the applications that you develop need to be tested on all these handheld devices. So it's things like that that cost our economy billions and billions every year. And that's why today we have the Israeli economy being 13 or 14 times bigger than the Palestinian economy in terms of GDP per capita. Our imports, you have in this sheet as well, our imports and exports take 10 days, 40 days to export, whereby Israelis only take 10 days to export. The cost of exporting is $1,500 on average, and the Israelis about $500. So again, the disparity there. One final thing I want to talk about is a personal story at the bank. One of my IT managers, again a genius, top-notch developer in the bank, he graduated from Oxford about 5-6 years ago, and he went back to Palestine with his family to Gaza. And in the last war, he was told by the Israeli army, they used to drop leaflets and send messages when they were bombing the neighborhoods. He was told by the message to evacuate the area they live in and to move to the Gaza city, downtown in the city. So he did exactly what the army told him to do. He went with his 9-month pregnant wife, his 2 sons, Kenan, age 6, and Saji, age 4, and they went to live with his sister in an apartment in what the army said was a safe place to be. A few days later, an Israeli helicopter flew by and fired 5 rockets into their apartment building, and everyone died except Hassan. Hassan was severely injured. They were all killed. His entire family, even his mother, his sister, all their family, everyone died. He was severely injured. His leg was almost severed off. And Hassan, for me, is an inspiration because he's about my age. His kids are the age of my kids, and he lost absolutely everything. And he did what the Israelis told him to do. Okay, and Hassan inspires me because he told me that he's willing to start up from zero again, and that he doesn't hate the Israelis, and he doesn't hate the Jews, and he doesn't hate anyone. He just wants to live. Okay, he wants to go back also to maybe do a PhD in Cambridge after finishing from Oxford. And he wants to help the bank. He's one of our brightest technology experts in the field of electronic payments and mobile payments. He's just finished developing our mobile payment system, and he wants a bright future. He's willing to restart his life from zero, and to restart. And my ask to you is to help Hassan restart from zero. There are a lot of Hassans out there. And there's a lot of stories out there that are unheard, and we hope that you will engage with us and help us with Hassan and the other Hassans of the Palestinian territory. Thank you.